Hey there everybody, welcome back into the kitchen for another quick and easy bread or loaf type, well, bread or loaf. I am working on a zucchini loaf today because we pulled that beautiful zucchini out of the garden and I've got to do something with it. I've never made a zucchini loaf before. I have enjoyed quite a few of them, but like I say, I've never actually made one. So I'm making this one from Muffins More. I'll put the recipe and such down in the comments, or the description, I should say, below. But let's kind of all go through this together and see how it works out. I'm hoping for the best because I'd rather eat a good zucchini loaf than a not good zucchini loaf. Anyway, let's get started. So this Muffins More cookbook, I love these things. Very simple directions. If you see it in the grocery store, grab it. They're usually like $5 here in Canada. Here are the ingredients for our zucchini loaf. Here are the directions. Pause it if you want to write that stuff down. Like I said, we're going to go through it, and most of it will be in the directions, or I should say the description. I'm having issues with that one today. Anyway, most of that information will be in the description below. So I guess our first step here is we beat those eggs until they're frothy, start adding a few other things, and yeah. What's a frothy egg anyway? I love how much yolk is in these farm fresh eggs though. I hope that doesn't affect things too much, but is that frothy? Alright, that's a little better. I'm prepared to settle with that as frothy. So we add in our 1 cup of sugar and our ½ cup of cooking oil, and back to the egg beaters. This might be a two-handed thing. In fact, I think it is. Alright, we'll get back in a minute. Alright, so next I guess I need 1 cup of grated zucchini with the rind left on. If I'd been thinking ahead, I would have already prepared that, but yeah, it's just not how I seem to do things. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, 1 cup of grated zucchini later. Does that remind anybody else of coleslaw? Alright, we'll mix this in. And then we stir in some vanilla. So a teaspoon of vanilla in there. About the same in powdered pane because it wouldn't be bare in the kitchen without those hot peppers. Mix this up some more. So now we jump over to our other mixing bowl where we're going to add 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, ½ a teaspoon of salt, sea salt in this case, and the recipe calls for a teaspoon of cinnamon, but I used it all in the pumpkin pie spice, so I'm going with a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. And then I'll just take the whisk to this so everything gets nicely mixed up before we add it to our egg mixture. Then once we add all our dry stuff to the wet mix here, we're just going to want to mix this until everything's nicely moistened and it's good to go. Now, as I recall, the pumpkin loaf recipe from the same book split into these 2 smaller loaf pans fairly well. So I'm going to try and do that with this. That will definitely be an off-camera two-handed activity. Now the recipe says to cook this as 1 giant loaf for 50 to 60 minutes on 350. But I'm doing it as 2 loaves, and we're going to check back on it in ½ an hour. Because what we're really looking for is a toothpick that comes out clean. Which I guess leaves me doing dishes for ½ an hour and listening to The Hobbit. But that's of very little entertainment value to you. So we'll get back when we can shove a toothpick into one of those loaves. Like I said, 30 minutes or so for this first break. See you then. Well, it's been just over 10 minutes and those things are already starting to rise pretty seriously. I am wondering if they're going to overflow or not at this point. Anyway, we'll check with a toothpick in ½ an hour. Or at ½ an hour, I should say. So here we are at the 30-minute mark. They didn't rise too much more than the first initial 10 minutes there, so that's good. Let's pull one out and take a look at it. So we'll just do a simple toothpick test here. For those of you who don't know, you insert it into the deepest part of whatever it is you're baking and pull it out. If the toothpick comes out clean, odds are your loaf is done. Now that first one looks pretty clean, but let's just check the other loaf here as well. There's a little bit that came out on that, so I'm going to give it another 15 minutes and we'll check it again then. So here we go. We've given these another 15 minutes to finish baking off, and that looks pretty good to me. Flip it over. We'll try the other side here. And that also looks pretty good. I'm going to take these out to let them cool for a good long time, and then we'll give them a test. Zucchini hot pepper loaf. Should be interesting. Well, here we are. This delightful looking and smelling zucchini loaf has had a good long time to cool. Let's cut off a slice and give her a taste. Well, it does look pretty good. Only one thing left to do. And here we go. That's pretty good. And I have to say, I really trust that stupid little Companies Coming Muffins and More book. Every time I try something, almost every time I try something, it works out well. Alright everybody, this is a good recipe to try. I might bump up the hot peppers next time. But thank you all for sticking around. I think this is video 10. Look out for 11 because I think it's time to make some blueberry muffin waffles. So yeah, we'll see how that works next time.